This theme is all about death. I wanted to do week 1 with death, but I thought that that would scare you away. So I feel like by now you're ready to really go into the death. Now, what do I mean when I talk about death? We know this. In order to inhale, we have to exhale. In order for summer to come, winter has to happen. In order for the sun to come up, we need to have nighttime and the moon. Death is just one aspect of life. We can't have life without death. And yet, a lot of us try to outsmart life and stay attached to things and not allow the death phase to actually happen. The death phase is happening all the time. It's happening with every single exhale. It's happening at the end of every single day. But it also happens, as we know, at the end of our life, but at the end of a relationship, at the end of a friendship, at the end of a job, at the end of a belief that is killing you inside. These things, they gotta go. And the birth and the creation and all the fun stuff, even though we know that that process can be really scary, that stuff's not gonna come unless we allow the death to actually take place. The more we cling on, the more we attach to things, the more pain that's going to come in our lives, the more opportunities and potentials that will get missed because our hands are full of clasping and attaching and containing and controlling. The essence of Kali teaches us to just let go and trust that is what is meant to stay in our lives will stay in our lives. What's meant to be birthed will be birthed. And what's meant to die will need to go as well. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned when it comes to death is that sometimes another person, say in a relationship, or sometimes the great cosmos knows something needs to die before I know it needs to die. But if it wasn't on my terms, if I wasn't the one controlling it, I didn't want it to happen. So let's just take a relationship, for example. If my partner knew that this wasn't working and decided to call it off, he would very much correct in that. But yet, because it wasn't on my terms, I resisted that death. I wanted to hold on to it and wanted to attach. Instead of saying, well, thank you for seeing this sooner than I saw this, you know? So once I was able to really just trust in that death phase, trust that it might come at a time that I don't want it, or I'm not expecting it, I'm not controlling it, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen after this, it doesn't mean that that's not when it's supposed to come. It doesn't mean that that's not when the death phase is supposed to be there. It really is about just letting go and trusting life, trusting that this life cycle is always happening. And remember, Kali is the birth too. She is the birth and the death. So you gotta trust as you move through life, you gotta trust that after the death, and by the way, sorry, but it's not like that. Sometimes the death phase takes years to actually process and happen, but you have to trust what comes next in the life cycle. Life, newness, birth comes next when we can actually allow that death to happen. So death of a relationship, death of a job, all of that, we know happens all the time when we control it or we don't. But also it can be a lot more subtle than that. Some of the most painful deaths I've had to allow in my life is deaths of aspects of myself that I was really attached to. Had to let go of the death that I'm not good enough, the death that I'll never live into my potential, the death that I need to live my life small, don't be too big, don't ruffle feathers, the death of being a people pleaser and having everyone like me. Those things are hard to let go of. Oftentimes we identify ourselves with those things. I'm the nice one. I'm the sweet one. I'm the cool one. I'm the one that all my friends go to. I'm this, I'm that, whatever. oftentimes those things actually don't serve us at all. And then Callie will come chap our door when it's time for us to really, really allow those things to leave and form. It's not that we want to form new attachments and new identities, but with the death of those things, space gets created for something else to come through. When it comes to, I just want to make a note about this, that of course if I'm talking about death, we need to address the physical death. Nothing I say, nothing anyone can say can make the death of a loved one any easier. And of course we can think, oh, this is the energy of Callie. There's going to be a birthing from this. Something new is going to come from this. But tending to a death is a really difficult thing. And the last thing you're probably thinking of if you are tending to death or if you have experienced that grief is, oh, this is Callie. This is newness. What I will say is, from a yoga perspective, we believe that no one ever really dies. We all have what's called a purusha, or a soul, or a spirit, or a light inside of us. And when that death does come, even though I'm making this sound really simple, it really is just our physical body that's leaving this earth. And so if we think about this, if we tend to this in a life, death, life perspective, in a Callie perspective, when there is a physical death that happens, that we tend to, something that might be supportive and comforting is just remembering that no one's soul, no one's spirit can ever be taken away. It can never die. And at some point when it's right for you, there might be an opportunity there for there to be a new relationship that gets birthed between you and your loved one. It's just going to be a very different relationship. It won't be a physical body and physical body relationship. It'll be a relationship of feeling into the unseen world and feeling into the mysteries of life. Death is a really important aspect of life, obviously, and I do find some comfort in the fact that we all will experience this. We all will have loved ones who leave. We're all going to leave. No one, no matter who you are, how much money you have, how much power you have, how much status you have, no one can escape death. This is something that we all go through together. So I hope this week that we have created some practices for you that will support you in tending to the deaths that arise, even if it's really small, tiny deaths, or really, really tending to really big deaths. I hope that we can walk alongside you as we go through this together. I'll see you soon.